What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. This is kind of a big moment for this channel, if you think about it. I started this channel back, I think, in 2020. I was fresh out of medical school. I was going through residency, working about 100 hours a week, and a couple of big YouTubers out there kind of inspired me to start doing this because I enjoyed listening to what other people enjoyed, learning about other bands, other artists, and it really did inspire me to start doing my own thing because of this community that's around heavy metal, vinyl, and then the YouTube music community. It really kind of inspired me to do my own thing and try to join that as well. And there's a bunch of other YouTubers out there doing the exact same thing, and they are all pretty cool. Most people, they give each other subs, they talk to each other. I've met plenty of really cool people this way. It really was a neat adventure, and now here we are at 178 subscribers. Originally I was going to do this video around 150, and then it just kept growing, and I wanted to do more videos. Next thing you know, I forgot to do the video for 150, but now we're at 178 subscribers, 153 videos on this channel later, and I really just wanted to give a big thank you to everyone out there who actually gave me the time of day. They put up with my rough period, especially in the beginning, with a lot of the oohs, ahs, ums, and all those things that made my videos probably really hard to listen to in the beginning. A lot of eye rolling, a lot of different things that I noticed I've caught myself doing. So thank you for putting up with me and going all the way back to video number 1. Now we're at video 153, 178 subscribers later, and I just wanted to give everyone a huge thank you for putting up with me and taking the time to give me a sub, like a video, comment, and for those of you who've told me what favorite things you've been enjoying, what bands you've been enjoying. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. So let's go and let's do a little vinyl update, shall we? A little bit of a actually, you know what? We're not going to do just vinyl. We're going to do a couple things all at the same time. And this is going to be a multimedia update. How does that sound? Let's do that. So to commemorate our growth of this channel, I saw something online that really started the heavy metal journey for me as a kid. I still remember being about 5 years old. No, 4. I think it was 4 because it's still at daycare. So 4 years old. I will never forget being in my brother's white Chevy Cavalier with the old cassette deck, and he played this cassette for me for the very first time, and it completely blew my socks off. This is that first record, the first time I ever heard something like this, where it just changed my brain and probably short-circuited a few times forever. And when I saw this online, I saw the first press, it immediately brought me back to being in the front seat of my, back seat, sorry, because I was only 4. So I had to sit in the back seat, in the car seat, my brother's Chevy Cavalier. And I remember being in this with my brother, and he put this on for the first time, and it just blew my socks off. Sabotage, Fight for the Rock. Came out 1986 on Atlantic Records. This is the album that did it for me. I think a lot of people out there, even people, heavy metal artists to this day, people on YouTube, everybody has that one record that probably changed them forever, and this is the one for me. I still remember this cover. I remember getting in trouble because of this album. Multiple times, actually. My brother he actually copied most of the cassette tape for me because I wanted to bring the tape in for show and tell, I think, in either kindergarten, maybe, somewhere around that time. And everyone brought in whichever tape or CD meant a lot to them, and I brought this in. And I may or may not have, well, my brother tells me I did. This was... My memory's not that good, but yeah, I think I can actually recall doing this. But my brother told me I took the tape to preschool or kindergarten with me, and I shocked the heck out of everybody in the room because they weren't used to hearing this. Meanwhile, the kid that went on before me was playing The Offspring, so it's not like it was a huge leap to go from The Offspring to some hair metal. And I remember my brother picking me up from school that day, and all the teachers going, "Your brother has very interesting music tastes. Are you the reason?" And of course my brother said yes. He's like, "Well, your brother brought in this band called Sabotage, and we thought it was very interesting that a young man would enjoy this." Well, here you go. This is the one that did it all, the one that corrupted me. And I knew when I saw this online, first press, this just brings back a trove of memories. I still have the cassette player, and This is the one, man. This is the one that did it all. I've dropped the shell about 15 times since I bought it, so that's kind of nice. But you know, nice little insert, short little clamshell here that I've dropped, like I said, about 15 times already. Try and take better care of it so I don't keep breaking the darn thing. But this is the one. This is the one that started the journey for me, and I still remember having to flip and constantly rewind, and you know, the song that did it for me. Now, I know, this is not the most beloved Sabotage album that they ever did, and even though it's not, it's my introduction to Sabotage. It's my first album I ever heard by them. This was my favorite, and to this day, there's a lot of amazing Sabotage records, and I love all of them, but this is the one. This is the one that I still love to this day. I actually found a radio copy promo of this record at Greyface Records in Savannah, Georgia. I bought it instantly because I know eventually that's going to go up in price, and I wanted to have a copy at home, but that was a first press promo copy for a radio. Anyway, if you don't know who this is, Sabotage, Tampa, Florida. The guys that left this, you know, rest in peace, Chris Oliva. You got John Oliva as lead singer on here. This is before he gained all the weight. And eventually, of course, after John left, we ended up with Zach. And then when this band broke up, we ended up with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Paul O'Neill, big group. And a lot of these guys went on to assist and create what is Trans-Siberian Orchestra today. Rest in peace, O'Neill. And just, you know, this is the one, man. This is the one that did it for me. Notable second place. I hate the idea of calling it second and third place because I love all these albums so much. I really don't even want to get started. But I will say Hall of the Mountain King is a close second favorite. And of course, Zach's first album, you know, after John was already done with the band, Zach's just came out with a heater. So it really is hard to pick, but this is the one that started all for me. Sabotage, Tampa, Florida. John and Chris Oliva. I was fortunate enough to see John Oliva play with John Oliva's Pain, and they did Sabotage, Hall of the Mountain King, the big anniversary. They played it cover to cover, and of course, my favorite song off that record is Strange Wings. I got their guitar pick, it's in the case right now. Just some really cool things that, especially from the Tampa, Florida scene, coming from Florida, and it really is cool just to be able to see this and think back how much of an impact Sabotage has had on my life in general. So, yep, that's home with me now. Very grateful to have it. And I feel like we're just covering a couple of my favorite bands today, just on different media. And unfortunately, I did not bring a CD in to commemorate this, but we have one cassette, one DVD, one LP. I probably should have done a book on top of that or something, but that's okay. We'll go for this for right now. And now we have this band. This is another one that, actually, all three of these bands my brother got me into. So I guess in a weird way, this is kind of like a commemoration video to him. But this band has also meant a lot to me. I remember the first time I actually listened to these guys on my own. And it was off of their self-titled album, which is a weird place to start listening to this band. But I do remember my brother salivating over their self-titled record. And this is another one of those bands I had never heard anything like it. And that sent me down the rabbit hole to CDs, vinyl, DVDs. And coming all the way from England, this is Paradise Lost, The Anatomy of Melancholy. What this is probably one of the greatest live DVDs I've ever watched. There's 2 DVDs in here encompassing their live show. If you don't know who these are, check them out when you can. One of the big 4, I guess you could say, of like gothic metal, because that's kind of what like Livewire put it as. You know, I don't know. I mean, if you want to call it Doom, to me this is classic Doom, going all the way back to Lost Paradise, Gothic, some of their biggest albums. They do have a little bit of like, they have a lot of changes throughout their discography of like what era of the band we're in, but I think they classified them as the big 4 of Gothic. But this is really honestly like the big 4 of Doom metal, to be honest with you. And call it what you want, this is probably one of my favorite music DVDs of all time. Really glad I picked this up when I did. This encompasses a pretty decent history of the band as far as music goes. Live at the Coco, London, April 12, 2007. What I liked about this was they cover so much of the self-titled record, which was my very first record by these guys. And they include two of my favorite songs off of there. They also, of course, include the following album, In Requiem, on this as well. But what I liked is they had songs on here that I wanted to hear live, but they don't really play them live that often. But the two I'm really alluding to is Gray and Redshift. Now, those two songs are two of my favorite songs off of the self-titled record, but they also play The Enemy, which is off of the following record, In Requiem, Praise, Lament, and Shade, also off that record. But I mean, this set list is incredible. This is like the quintessential Paradise Lost set list. I mean, you got 21 tracks. They play some of the songs that you expect them to hear, like As I Die, Say Just Words, but then they play a lot of stuff on here that are like some real throwbacks, some real gems. I mean, No Celebration, Mouth, Eternal, True Belief, 1 Second. Of course, you know, some of those songs you're always going to hear. But, you know, Sweetness, Gray, Redshift, you know, Erased. It really, Forever Failure. So, I mean, the list goes on. Pity the Sadness. And what I like about this is it's got some gems that when I saw them open up for Nightwish, now this is going way, way back. I saw them open for Nightwish at the Club Firestone in Orlando, and half of these songs they didn't play on there. And I think that's what I love about this, is there's just a lot of really, like, you know, rare songs that you wouldn't normally get to hear, but I think that they're playing way, way more nowadays. And, of course, they get interviews on here, fans, Lost in Europe, and then promo videos for The Enemy, Praise, Lament, and Shade, and Over the Madness. Over the Madness is, of course, off the self-titled record. But I really, really am glad to get this. I'm glad I was able to get it at a decent price, too, because this has gone way, way up in price. Especially the CD copy, which is next on my list. I want the CDs to play in the car. I love the DVD. It's nice to just crack open a beer and play this, but I would really love to have the CD copy of this as well to play in the car. But, yep, The Anatomy of Melancholy, Paradise Lost. This band's changed a lot. If you go, you know, their first two records sound nothing like the middle-of-the-road records that they played. When they got signed to some of their bigger labels, they made a lot more money. If you read the book No Celebration about Paradise Lost, they even said that they were just blowing money, eating steaks every night, and just spending money because they didn't know what else to do with it. But these promo guys were taking them out. And then what ended up happening was the band changed their sound to essentially a, oh my goodness, I hate even saying the words, but anyone who knows Paradise Lost knows those middle albums that, you know, not a lot of people like. You either love them or you hate them. But I mean, if you're talking about like kind of like the Host days, yeah, there's some rough spots on there. If you go to Believe, I mean, there's a lot of like the synth gothic band worship on there. That's the only way I can explain it. You know, Sisters, like, obviously heavily influenced by Sisters of Mercy and everything from that era, but the synth goth thing was huge in this band, and you could tell the band really fell off. And even though they had gotten bigger, they also started doing really poorly because the band was falling apart. And eventually they came out with a couple more records, but I feel like the self-title is really where this band turned around and started playing metal again. And now Paradise Lost, they've never been better. With the last three releases, especially coming up with like Medusa and then Obsidian, which I you know, Obsidian might be my favorite record of theirs of all time, mixed with like, I mean, definitely top three now. I mean, it's really hard because I love Draconian Times. I love just everything this band has done, but now with Obsidian sounds like it covers everything that the band has ever done. And I really love what they're doing right now with their heavy, gruff vocals filled in with the cleans, and of course you got Macintosh's lead guitar work, which is excellent. I really love what this band is doing. We should be getting a new record. They said they were going back into the studio late, so we should get a new record by them next year. And it'll be 5 years since Obsidian came out next year, which is fine. You know what? That record was so darn good. I'm okay with a little bit of a break, just hopefully not too long of one. The band's been repressing and re-releasing a lot of stuff under their own name so they can really do things the way they want to do. If you haven't heard it, listen to their most recent repress of what they just did. And they re-recorded everything did everything that the way they wanted to do with their most recent repress, and I think they did a great job. It's fun because now you have 2 different versions of that album, and I think that's actually a lot of fun. So the Icon 30 versus the Icon originally, I like both. Obviously, I like Icon, the original, because that's what I heard first. But I really like what they did with this new version, where it's just pummeling, it's heavy. And Nick Holmes' voice has only gotten better with age. So if you haven't listened to this band, take the time. This is one of the biggest names in heavy metal, and honestly have influenced so many bands throughout the decades that they've earned their keep. And last but not least, the other band that my brother got me into. I'll never forget, because when my brother has shown me these bands, I know exactly where I was when I heard them for the first time. And I feel like that's so powerful when you're so attached to music. You can smell things that, you remember the smells, the sounds, the sights, the feelings that you were feeling at that time, what part of your age you were at, where you were at in life. And this band was no different. I still remember being in the car for the first time, and my brother's like, have you ever listened to these guys? I said, no. Who are these guys? And this is their newest record, 2024, Napalm Records, Theories of Emptiness by Evergrey. Sorry, I'm like covering half my face right there. This is another one of those bands, man. I remember being in the car with my brother, and he played Torn for me, which changed everything. When that record came out, that was my introduction to Evergrey, and that was another record that just changed everything for me. So, instantly hooked. I had to listen to everything that the band ever reproduced. This is before really even, when I got into them, Spotify wasn't even around yet. Torn had just come out. Spotify wasn't around. We had iTunes, and it was basically iTunes and CDs and vinyl. And that's what I was doing. And I didn't want to buy anything on iTunes because I felt like I was cheating on CDs. So I had to go buy the CDs of everything. Now, their very first album, I remember being in the car with my brother, and we were up in Ohio, and he was playing the very first record by Evergrey, and I had no idea what it was. It was just the 2-minute intro with just acoustic guitars and Thomas England singing. My apologies, the name is not really clicking with me right now, but it's the very first record, so that should give you all the information. It's just a 2-minute song, but it's just a beautiful and powerful song for being so short, and it's just Tom and acoustics. And that still ends up being one of my favorite songs, even though it's so short. And this is just another one of those bands. I ended up collecting everything by them, couldn't get enough of them. I saw Thomas England and Evergrey play at the Token Lounge in Detroit. Me and my brother drove like 8 hours to go to this show. Lot of travel, long days. We got back, I think, the next day at like 5 in the morning after the show, something crazy like that. And I would do it all again. This is Theories of Emptiness by Evergrey. Came out this year, like I said, Napalm Records. Every song on here is fantastic. I was a little nervous about what this band was going to be doing with this record, because Thomas England has his Silent Skies project. I've noticed a lot of his melodies and piano work that he does with, I think his name is Visham Vikar. My apologies, I forgot his name, but the pianist that he plays with. I was afraid that he would start losing all of his melodies to the Silent Skies project, but this album reassured me and quenched all of those fears, because this record is outstanding. This, I think, is probably their best record in the last couple of years. You know, the Heart album that came out before this, the Atlantic, the trilogy that they did are all great. Don't get me wrong. I love this era of Evergrey. I really do enjoy it. I think this is what I've been looking for from an Evergrey album for a while now, because I feel like the last couple didn't grip me by the throat the way like Torn did, Monday Morning Apocalypse did, their very first record did. A lot of, and Thomas England likes to put a lot of guest vocalists on his records. Usually Karina England, which is his ex-wife, I think now, she does a couple. The duet these two do together, oh my gosh, especially with their live DVD. That is another amazing live DVD. I can't say enough good things. It's a 12 out of 10. Their live DVD is fantastic, especially the duet he does with Karina England off of that first record. And this one's no different, man. He's got a couple guest vocalists on here. Not to drag the drama, but Selena England is his new wife. And Jonas Brentz, they both do track number 8, Cold Dreams. And I really do enjoy the heck out of this album. And I think what I like about it is it's such a dark and sad album, but it's very aggressive. all of the melodies are really meaningful, and they're well chosen. There's no skippable songs. The beginning, I would say the first half of the record, with the exception of Ghost of My Hero, I would say the first half is not as strong as the second half, just being honest, the way they were placed out. However, the second you get into Ghost of My Hero, it is wall-to-wall banger after banger until the very end of the record. And of course, A Theory of Emptiness is like a 2-minute outro with no vocal, not a lot of singing vocals. It's basically just an outro. But, what I love about this record, it's so dark, it's kind of sad. Black vinyl, 180 grams. And I think that's what I like about it. It is sad. It reminds me of Torn, and I think that's why I like this one so much more than some of the other than the last couple of records. However, I do love those records as well. Notable songs, the whole thing. Just listen to the whole thing. But notable songs: Ghost of My Hero, We Are the North is outstanding. I will be honest. The first time I heard We Are the North, I was expecting it almost to sound like, what Hammerfall did with Sweden, OK Rock, or whatever. And me and my brother joke all the time because we can't stand that song. No offense to Hammerfall, but the rest of the album's great. I love Hammerfall's last record is fantastic. The one that just came out. Check that out if you haven't. But The Night Within, Cold Dreams, Our Way Through the Silence. A lot of these tracks remind me of These Scars from Torn. Just those riffs with like the very specific chords that they chose. Everything on here is outstanding. I really do love this record. It's an excellent return to form. It reminds me a lot of older Evergrey. There's actually some screaming on here, which we haven't heard on an Evergrey album in ages. But I think it was on Cold Dreams, actually. It was on Cold Dreams or The Night Within, but there is some screaming vocals on it, which we haven't heard in a long time. The music video is pretty cool with the fireworks going off in the background. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, this is Evergrey, Theories of Emptiness. Really do love this album. I've been playing it nonstop. I have a copy for the car, and then of course on vinyl as well. So a little bit of a multimedia pass for today. We did something a little bit differently, things that I don't get to talk about that often. But we got some more videos coming up soon for you guys. I just want to give you guys a big thank you for the 178 subs. Thank you again. Thanks for listening to me and all my poorly edited videos. I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you guys are taking care of each other out there. And peace.